My guest on the show today is Ziad Abdelnour, CEO of Blackhawk Partners, a New York-based private equity firm. For me personally, I don't have a great deal of knowledge when it comes to this sector, but despite that, Ziad's insight into being a successful entrepreneur is second to none. Ziad discusses some of the harsh realities that we must be aware of in order to be a successful entrepreneur. He describes business as war and reiterates the importance of gathering intelligence to put you ahead of the business opposition. He also talks passionately about the need to develop the correct attitude and how entrepreneurship is about empowering others, which is the opposite of what he describes as being taught on Wall Street. It's a powerful episode, so brace yourself and enjoy. My guest today is Ziad Abdelnour, President and CEO of Blackhawk Partners, which is a client-first private equity company based in New York. Since he started, Ziad has been involved in over 125 transactions, totaling over $10 billion. He is also author of Economic Warfare, Secrets of Wealth Creation in an Age of Welfare Politics. Ziad, welcome.
My pleasure, Chris.
I'll give a little brief introduction to yourself and your company. If you could just give us a little bit more insight into yourself personally, and a little bit more insight into your company, Blackhawk Partners.
Well, Blackhawk Partners is a private family office. I basically invest money, capital on behalf of very affluent investors, both in the commodities markets and in private equity. In the commodities markets, I mostly deal with three types of commodities: oil, derivatives, including crude oil, gold, bullion, and iron ore. We actually move the products physically. We don't deal in the financial futures market. It's rather the physical market. And so we're in touch with a number of refineries, suppliers, and buyers. We are traders of physical commodities in that respect. On the private equity side, we look to invest in established companies, no startups, no project finance, no greenfield projects, established companies with some cash flow, companies that need to grow, either organically or do acquisitions. We back them in acquisitions and or organic growth to make them really substantial entities. It's an important geography, the industry. We're in the business basically of betting on people. We invest in people. Doesn't matter their nationality, their gender, their location, their anything. People with a track record who have a burning desire to be super successful and who have the highest integrity and who put their money at stake, who have skin in the game. People who come to us with projects with no skin in the game, we have no interest. So we are dealing with operators who have skin in the game, who want to build substantial businesses globally, and who want to be game changers. So I'm pretty much dealing with mavericks and total rebels, because I am one. That's how I am. That's who I am. I am not the kind of guy who conforms. I am the kind of guy who challenges everything, who challenges the system, and I like to be a game changer. I don't want to rock the boat. I want to break the damn boat and build a new one. So, I'm not a fan of the establishment. I think they've become fat, dumb, and happy. I'm not a fan of all the prima donnas who think they are entitled to earn this kind of money or to be in that position they are in. I'm with the rebels out there who want to change the world, who have burning ambition and desire to be free.
How do you actually get to find these people, and how would how do you get to know these people? So you're dealing with rebels. You want to deal with people who want to break the establishments,
Well,
and you want to invest in people.
number one, this is how I do conversations. So I either attract people by talking this way, or uh, I turn them off completely. That's fine. I like to do it right from the start. I'm not here. Look, I can in 10 minutes size up somebody very quickly. That's a strength. That's a gift I have, with all humbleness. And that's how I can determine if this is the kind of guy or group I'm going to deal with or not. Look, at the end of the day, there are three things that matter to me. And that's what I look for in people and in companies. But, companies are run by people. So it's all again, people again. Number one, guts. Anyone who doesn't have guts, I try to stay away from, because eventually he's going to pull me down. He or she's going to pull me down. Number two, brains. They are, by the way, equally important. If you have the brains and no guts, you're a bureaucrat. If you have the guts and no brains, you're a loose cannon. So you have to have both. And number three, heart, compassion, passion, compassion for people. You have the brains, the guts, and the heart, you're going to go a long way. And these are the kinds of people I deal with. I don't care about his education. I don't care about his origin, his background, his nationality, his color, his gender. I don't care about all this stuff. This is irrelevant. This is really what determines for me if these are the kind of people I deal with. Now, I clean up my Rolodex all the time. My Rolodex is all formed of such people. And if they don't fit this, they're not there. They are not there. I don't care if they're nice or not, if they're polite or not, I don't care. It's not important. I care about dealing with people who are really very smart, very aggressive, very ambitious, game changers, rebels, mavericks, outfits. I mean, basically, they don't fit into any system. I feel comfortable with them. I like to share with them, to provide them with the resources I have, coupled with the resources they have, to make a dent. At the end of the day, we are here to make a dent.
So have you always wanted to run your own company and make that dent in society? Always. Is that something that you always, because have you worked for other companies?
Yes, I did. I got an Ivy League degree. I went to the Wharton School of Finance, the best business school in the world and the oldest business school in the world. I went there. I got my master's degree there, not just because, it's gonna get me anywhere, but because it was a challenge. Why not? This elite supposedly can do it. I can even do it. I graduated from there. So I did it just for the challenge, just to get the degree. I worked for the biggest Wall Street firms. I worked for a number of years for American Express. I worked for Drexel Burnham, which was the powerhouse in the 80s, the junk bond powerhouse. And I worked for one of the biggest financiers of the 20th century, Michael Milken, who I think, along with JP Morgan, were the two biggest financiers in the 20th century, and I worked for one of them. And I learned a lot. But then I realized, after Drexel was put out of business, that, if they can put companies like this out of business, basically I was not in control. There are two types of people in this world. There are people in charge and people in control. A lot of the top execs at the big firms, they are in charge. They're not in control of anything. I don't want to be in charge. I want to be in control of my destiny, because if I'm not, somebody else is going to take control of my destiny and of my life. I'm not a slave to corporate America. I don't want to be a slave to anyone. So I had to find a way to galvanize resources, financial, human capital, and others, to strike on my own and to build this huge network. which I have built, both online and offline. It took years, but it took dedication, and I realized that at the end of the day, I'm not going to argue with people who don't think like me. It's a waste of time. That's how I am. This is my DNA. People either play ball and are like me, or you know what? There are 7 billion people in the world. I don't have time to waste trying to change people. If you cannot change your own kids, your own blood, you cannot change strangers. I learned this a long time ago. My kids right now are grown up and they have a mind of their own, and I respect all what they do and I'm very proud of them. But you know what? I'm not here to change them. Same thing in business. That's how I do business. For me, business is war. This is not a hobby. This is not, oh, you know what? This is what I do from 9 to 5. No, no, no. Thank God it's Friday. No, no, no. I don't work like this. I work 24/7 because I love what I do, because I'm kicking ass every day.
Did you love what you did when you worked in Wall Street? Did you have the same attitude when you worked for
No,
corporate?
I was not. I didn't have the same attitude. I was compliant. Then I realized, that these years were passing by, and at the end of the day, what am I going to be? The CEO of this entity or this group? So what? I'm a hired hand. I'm a slave. And then I could not say whatever I wanted. Look, at the end of the day, money for me is not about having that many cars or houses or planes or yachts or this. Money is about freedom. Money gives you the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, without taking crap from no one. Let me tell you the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich, if I tell you now, Chris, let's go to the Bahamas. Wealthy is, let's go to the Bahamas now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. That's freedom, for me, is essential. To also say whatever I want. I would not have been able to write the book I've written without being free. Because if I had a job on Wall Street and I wrote this book, I would be fired the next day.
As your attitude towards business and towards wealth, I know you touched on just then in terms of, having the cars, having the houses, and that's no longer important. Was there a point ever in your life when that was important?
Yeah, of course. When I was much younger, of course. But then I was not mature enough to understand. It took me some time, experience, to understand that after all, don't spend your money on things. Spend money on experiences.
Yeah.
And that experience was much more important. And look, there's nothing like freedom. Nothing. To do business with whoever you want. To say whatever you want. To go wherever you want, whenever you want. Without being hostage to any agenda. If I work for a big firm, I'm a hostage to a political or business agenda. I have to dress up a certain way. I have to say things a certain way. That's for me like slavery of 100 years ago. 100 years ago, you had slaves in America, in Africa. Today, working for corporate America is exactly the same. This is how repulsive I find it.
Ziad, do you believe that anybody can be an entrepreneur and anybody can find that financial freedom? Or do you think it takes a very specific person to get themselves in that position?
Well, it's all about developing the attitude. It's all about attitude.
Well said.
It's really about the attitude. You can be super smart. You know what? You remember what I told you? Guts, brains, and heart. Lots of super smart people out there, but they don't have the guts. Lots of very gutsy people out there, but they're not smart enough. If you have the three, you can have it. It's really developing the attitude. Now, how you develop the attitude? Well, circumstances happen and it triggers that in you. Or, if not circumstances, You have it in you. It's in your genes. My father was an entrepreneur. My uncle was an entrepreneur. All my family is an entrepreneur. So it's in our blood. We can't take orders. We can't. Some people cannot take orders. And then I said to myself, who is this guy? Who the hell is this guy to give me order? What does he know? Most of the people who are giving you order usually have less money than you. So why should I take his order?
I mean, in terms of the mindset, what you were talking about before, Ziad, I mean, I've had a big shift in mindset actually over the last couple of years. And actually, I put a lot of that shift in mindset down to business and down to entrepreneurship. Because actually, when you are an entrepreneur and when you start running your own business, you are by yourself. And actually, what I think entrepreneurship does and what business does is make you have a good look at yourself, and it makes you see what your weaknesses are, and it makes you see what your strengths are. And as I say, I've had a big mental shift in mindset in terms of what I'm driven to do, particularly why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yep.
And it's a big shift to giving something back and creating value. Hence why I'm doing this podcast. I mean, I don't get paid to do this podcast, but the reason I do it is because I want to create value and I want to put it out there. Similar to why you're actually on this interview now, because you want to create value and you want to put it out there. So as I say, that's a big mental shift for me, and I think that has helped me progress in my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, success is about empowering people. The more people you empower, the more successful you're going to be. Unfortunately, you are not taught this on Wall Street. Everybody's taught how to screw the other one. The smallest one is the one who's going to screw the most. And they go and they had this movie on The Wolf of Wall Street whereby all these idiots go there and revere this hero and enjoy the movie. What a bunch of crap. Teaching people all the wrong things.
So Wall Street is not like that in real life?
Wall Street used to be like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, used to be like that. But hold on, Wall Street is too big. You cannot, and this is just a certain group of people who behave this way. Most of the people are good, solid people. Most of them. But there's always some bad apples, But not use this as an example, to especially the young minds, the vulnerable minds who are impressed with the Ferraris, the cool cars, the cool women. It's all crap.
Well, Ziad, this is something that, as I say, touching back onto the mindset shift, it was something that actually probably I was initially going back, a couple of years ago, I was attracted to, because I don't know what they have in the USA in terms of what you see on TV, but in the UK they have a program called Dragon's Den, and often, there's an entrepreneur, he goes in, he pitches to the dragons.
Yeah, the same thing as the US. We have a program similar called Shark Tank.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it can often glamorize what entrepreneurship, and the media. What I found the media does is it's a hard journey to get success in entrepreneurship, and actually what it does is it just goes straight to the success bit.
Yep.
It doesn't show the grind. It doesn't show people out there on the hustle.
Yep.
It doesn't show people networking. It doesn't see people jumping on trains and traveling hours to go to meetings.
Yep.
It doesn't show any of that. And I think that's the problem with the media on entrepreneurship actually. But no, I mean just in terms of talking about the struggles of being an entrepreneur. Failure is actually a big part of being an entrepreneur, and obviously learning from those failures. You need to learn in order to achieve success. Can you discuss a specific failure or setback that you've come across and how you've overcome it to grow your business?
Plenty of failures, plenty of disappointments with people, plenty of people, lying, cheating, all this kind of stuff, plenty of disappointments, but you know what? It's the attitude, I never break, I bend. I never break. A lot of people break. It's how much resistance you have to pain. The more resistance you have to pain, the more successful you're going to be. The more you're going to swallow your ego and believe you're very resistant to it, the more successful you're going to be. Nothing is going to stop you. You become like a machine. Nothing stops you. That's what I do. Plenty. I mean, throughout, I lived in different places, different continents, different countries, dealt with all kinds of people in my life, from Asians to South Americans to US to Europeans to Arabs to everybody. I straddled different cultures, different things. I was very exposed in my life. Sometimes I feel like I'm 85 years old in terms of experience, because I've rubbed my shoulders with lots of people. The most powerful, the less powerful, the sleazy, the good guys, the bad, and the ugly. And this is how you learn. And this is how you can size up people very quickly. I'm telling you, one of my biggest gifts is that I can size up somebody in 5 minutes. And it doesn't take me much, by asking just a couple of questions and see how they respond to the questions. It's very simple, because people are pretty much startled by these questions and they don't have time to prepare. Everything in a resume in this is prepared. People wear lots of masks trying to cover this. I can uncover any mask in a heartbeat. And that's what makes some people, and when you bet on the right people and you make the right choices, your chances of failure are much, much less. And this is what I learned. It's all about people. People get enamored in technology, in trends, in what the media says, in what your president says, in what this government says. It's all bullshit. The two biggest enemies, in my opinion, for human civilizations are government and religion. More people died in the name of religion than anything in history, whether Islam, Christianity, Judaism, everything, or in the name of government regimes, from socialism to communism to capitalism. You know how many people died over the wars over religion and government? Because people are weak. They need something to be attached to believe in, to lead their life in a balanced way. People who are very, very strong-minded don't need that, don't break easily, can differentiate the wheat from the chaff, can differentiate the bullshit from the real, can go and walk through a landmine knowing, because they have gathered intelligence, where the mines are, can outsmart the smartest people out there, not because they're smarter, but because they've been through a lot of experience and they have rubbed shoulders with lots of people. They know how to differentiate the bullshit very quickly in a heartbeat. Can differentiate between disinformation and information. Can differentiate between brainwash and reality. Can differentiate between fact and fiction. You don't acquire this by reading books. You acquire the stuff by facing it, by every day, by living it every day, by making zillions of mistakes, to learn next time I'm not going to do that mistakes. The more friction you have with people, the more sophisticated and savvy you're going to become in avoiding these traps.
What you seem very passionate about exposing the machine, if you like. You seem very passionate. You've obviously got immense amount of experience, and you seem very passionate about showing people what really goes on underneath and uncovering the bullshit. You seem really passionate about that.
Yeah, yes, I do. Because I honestly do. I mean, this is me. This is my DNA. I was born like this. And, people realize this. When I'm dealing with a super affluent, everybody who deals with them is a yes man. They try to tell them things to please them. I don't. I challenge them. I tell them I don't agree with them. I prove them wrong. And you know what? A lot of people are afraid of doing that because they think they're going to get the high and mighty upset. No, the high and mighty will respect you more by doing that. I don't take shit from no one, ever, no matter who he is, no matter how big he is. And I can even differentiate the bullshit that the Pope says to people. People cannot even think about that the Pope will ever say any bullshit. Well, sometimes he does. And if you don't get it through your thick skull, you're not smart enough. Everything out there, everybody has an agenda. So you're going to have to, and there's good agendas and there's bad agendas. But you're going to have to read between the lines and know what the agenda is before falling, all over it. Yeah. Same thing when I back a business. When I undertake a trade, I can detect in a nanosecond if the guy I've never met with on the phone is telling the truth or not. How? Not just by the intonation of his voice, not just when I see him and see his body language, but by how he answers my questions. People don't understand that you cannot imagine the power of the word when you use it right to deflect and to understand the reality or not. People don't do that because they are not taught that. Because people are taught to conform and be nice. You are raised, your parents tell you to conform, be a nice boy. Your teacher tell you to conform. Then you grow up, your college professor tells you to do this because do that. Then you get married, your wife tells you to do that. Then, it's everything. With a blink of an eye, you're 40, 50 years old. You haven't even thought you are conforming all the time, looking at those images, looking at the passage of life, not realizing. Then you realize, then sometimes it clicks, say, what the hell was I doing all this time? And you wake up. Or you never wake up. Some guys at the age of 80, they're still not awake. They still live in La La Land. And you know what? The more you realize this, the more friction you have with people. I have a lot of friction with people. I have lots of friends. I have a few enemies too. But that's fine. It's normal. Frankly, if I didn't have enemies, I would not be a normal guy. If you wanna make an omelet, you're gonna have to break some eggs anyway. So I don't care. People care too much. Oh, he's not gonna like me. People today want to be loved and liked and approved. And I don't care. What I care about is doing what I think is right. I'm a seeker of the truth, of the right. And if you can make money doing that, that's even better.
One of the hardest things that I'm finding, or I find, is, as I say, I've had touching again, I've had a change of mindset. But it's actually quite difficult to maintain that confidence in what you're doing, because I work in a corporate environment and I'm around people who are conforming, and then I go home and I work probably for about 3 or 4 hours every night on my own business. And sometimes I find it really difficult being around those people who conform. And actually, on many, many, many occasions here, I've challenged myself and I've said, am I doing the right thing? Because there's all these people doing the job and they're doing the qualifications and they're on a steady pay increase. And I just think, am I doing the right thing? And obviously, I know I am doing the right thing, but you're continually challenging that self-doubt that you have in your head. Well, have you got any tips in terms of how to maintain that confidence in yourself, or maintain that confidence in your business, and maintain the confidence in your destiny?
Well, I don't know if there is a tip there. This is not a tip thing. This is the school of life.
This is it. I feel as I have an undercurrent every single day that tells me what I'm doing is the right thing to do. But it's still not easy.
Look, yeah, I know it's not easy, but look, let me tell you how I look at it, okay? For me, as I said before, business is war. Especially in business. Let's focus on business. Business is war. For me, the most important element in winning wars all the time, whether you are an army, whether you are a business guy, a political guy, everything, is the gathering of intelligence. It's not how big your army is, or it's not how smart you are. Lots of very big bullies lost an argument or wars, and very smart people lost because they did not have the right intel. Once you have the right intel, you're already at an advantage over everybody else. The problem is very few people have the time, the patience, or the knack to go and gather this intel, because it's too much work. But once you gather the intel, you're gonna win, because you know stuff the other person doesn't know. Whether stuff about the other party, whether stuff about the situation, whether anything. You already have an enormous advantage. Everything I do in life, especially in business, I know stuff that nobody knows. And I find ways of getting it to have a real advantage. Once you have that advantage, you cannot miss, because you already know the Achilles heel of the party you're dealing with. And everybody has an Achilles heel. So you play on that. That's the tip. Most people do not do their due diligence. They invest, let's say, in this company or that company, or because Warren Buffett, or because Richard Branson invested, it must be good. They follow a brand name, or because Goldman Sachs did this, or because XYZ did that, it must be smart. He doesn't know, the idiot, that this guy may be shorting the stock or doing something because he doesn't know his agenda. He didn't do his homework. So he goes blindly after the brand name. People are so influenced today by how you look, by how you speak, by your brand name, by this and that, and they do not do their homework. If the Pope says something, I'm sorry I'm coming back to the Pope, but for example, show brand name, meaning what he says is sacred. It cannot be wrong, it is it. Nobody, no human being out there in flesh and blood does not make mistakes, and nobody does know the whole picture, sees the whole picture. Not even the President of the United States. There's some information that is not shown and shared to the President of the United States by our intelligence services in the United States. Even the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. So, when you do anything, get this out of your system. That this guy, you're not dealing, there is nobody impregnable. There is nobody who is, no matter how smart he is, if you have more intel than him about the circumstance situation, you're going to win. Most people do not do their due diligence, do not do their homework. Look at what happened in the crisis. People gave all this money to this hedge fund or that hedge fund. They didn't do their homework. They gave their life savings because, like guys like this crook, Bernie Madoff, they gave him millions of dollars. They were giving money like if they were buying furniture, if they're buying a car. No due diligence, because he took them to his yacht, entertained them, gave them a couple of cigars, so they thought they were important and part of the elite. How stupid can one be? And then they come crying, please help us, please bail us out, please this. You know, this is what people, this is the weakness of people. People do not do their homework. And this is what I learned. If you really want to be really, really good at what you are and really try to weather all the storm and do your damn homework better than anyone, then you won't have to question if you were right or wrong. You question if you're right or wrong once you haven't done your homework and there's some things that are unknown. Mm-hmm. Of course, nobody can make a decision with 100% of the information. We always have to take some risk, but at least it has to be calculated.
Which goes back to your guts, brains and heart quote earlier on.
You got it. Now you're going full circle. Now you get it. Exactly. Which goes back to that. Because it's impossible to get 100%, no matter how you are. No, the biggest machines in the world can get this. But you can have a pretty good idea. And you know what? I trust my gut feeling. You know, all this thing, people tell you, oh, no. Gut feelings are everything. Because my experience of my friction over the years with lots of people, I've developed an amazing instinct and gut feeling, which I think anybody like me has also developed over the years, if you've been exposed enough to situation, to setbacks, to troubles, to successes, to etc. Uh, that's what it is. And people don't do that. People are too much, there's like they say, the herd mentality, the sheep mentality. More than 99% of the people are sheep. You can lure them with anything, with sometimes you can lure them in terms of religion stuff, government stuff. Socialism is good, communism is good, the poor, the wealthy, you have to feel with those people, you have to do this, give a speech, be eloquent enough, and you're re-elected to be this and that, without even any track record. Look, at the end of the day, really, honestly, I don't want to sound like this, but most of the people are lazy. They don't do any homework. They follow the crowd. They're very sloppy. And that's what it is. So when you worry about things, realize that never underestimate the counterparty, but realize that most of the people are like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will actually, they come in from work and they want to watch. I mean, over here we have a program called Coronation Street, but it's a soap, and we'll have, the X Factor and things like that, and people are like, prefer to watch that rather than, get the mind.
Look, at the end of the day, Chris, people want to be entertained. That's all what they care about. That's what they care about. They want to be entertained, especially the Americans. You know what? Entertain me. Make me laugh. Make me smile. All these shows, reality TV. Let's dance. Let's sing. Let's this. Let's that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's reality. But you have to understand what is at stake. So, I mean, if you really want to be a killer shark entrepreneur who's really going to survive all the setbacks, you're going to have to totally realize the world you live in and how people are.
Is there a moment in your time is it a key moment when you've realised that your company or yourself is becoming a success?
Yeah, by the number of followers and fans I've developed over the years. When I started talking in public, to some very serious people, and having every time I talk there, people at the end of my speech or talk stand up and applaud, standing applause. Look, I have 230,000 followers on Twitter. I mean, this says a lot.
I can see why, though. I can see why you have. Because you're very transparent, you're very full on, and you say it how it is.
Yeah.
And people like that. People like that.
Exactly. You know what? Even if people don't agree, but they respect that. Even if they don't agree. And because I'm not here trying to sell, I'm not here trying to tell them something to please them. I don't care if they're pleased or not. This is what I think. And when people start reading and thinking, they say, God, this guy is right. Why don't I think like this? There's a friend of mine, this is a funny thing. A friend of mine who have known me for years, we were having a drink the other day. He told me, you know what, Ziad, in a different day and age, time and age, if I had to say what would be your job there, you would be a gladiator. He told me, you're there, you'll not be a prince or a king because you're not that diplomatic. You are, but in a different way. But you're there, chopping heads. Now you are the financial gladiator of today. Then you would be a gladiator on the set. Nobody challenging you, etc. That's why it is. And in fact, you know what? I started thinking about it. I said, interesting. I never thought about it this way. But it's true. I agree. You have to say, look, we live once. We're here to do something. So you either make a dent your way and get the message across, or you don't. The key is to empower people to leave this world for a better world.
Well, Ziad, this interview has been absolutely amazing, and you've really come across as fearless. You've got amazing focus, amazing drive, and you're determined to make a difference. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing the content.
Let's stay in touch. Please let me know when the podcast is out. I'd love to hear it again and share it with all my friends on social media.